So now let's get a deep dive going. We have a great keynote to start us off this morning is Drew Thompson. He's the founding partner of Consult Drew LLC. Drew is a business coach who leverages the power of generative AI to help leaders and their team unlock new levels of creativity, efficiency, and results. Just the person to show us the power of AI for your business. And just a reminder that you can learn more about Drew and all of our speakers today by clicking on the QR code that is on the agenda, and you can hear more about their background. So with that, Drew, the floor is all yours.
Good morning. So, can I just do a quick show of hands? How many people in this room have young kids? Anybody? Bueller? Great movie with Michael J. Fox? Just kidding. All right, I have young kids. I've got a 4, I've got a 2.5, and I got a 6-month. So we're up. All of you said good luck. We're up all the time. And I forget to do things all the time. I forget to put the dishes in the dishwasher and the bowls go on the bottom, not on the top, because it'll break the dishwasher. This actually happened last night. And my wife got so fucking mad at me for it. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just the dishwasher. They all still get clean. Yes or yes, of course. So what did I do? I left because it turned into a bigger fight. I got in my car, and I can't call a friend, and I can't say, yo, Mike, you wouldn't believe she's flipping out. No. I used AI. And here's what I did. I'm going to show you. Watch. Oh, my gosh. So my wife is so mad at me. I forgot to put the dishes in the dishwasher. She thinks I'm the worst husband. I work too much. I don't spend enough time with the kids. She says that I have digestive issues. I don't understand what's going on. Please help me figure out how to talk to my wife and just make her feel heard. But I really want to end this. I want to win the argument. And now, see if it'll play.
Drew, it's understandable that you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated, but it's important to remember that arguments aren't about winning or losing. They're about coming to a resolution together. It seems like your wife is feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Rather than trying to win the argument, focus on listening to her concerns and validating her feelings. Show empathy and try to understand her perspective. You might say something like,
Oh, hold on.
I hear you, honey. It sounds like you've been feeling overburdened lately. Let's work together to find some solutions.
Okay, so here's what I did, is I took that and I called my wife and I said, hey, honey, it feels like you're overburdened right now. I want you to know, read. I'm here for you. I love you. And I said it, and I remember just pausing and thinking to myself, I have won. Her instant response was, don't you ever use artificial intelligence when you're arguing with me ever again. I don't think it's fair, okay? You have the advantage. Now I have AI, so I have the advantage. This is what artificial intelligence can do for you. This is what AI is going. And when I'm talking about artificial intelligence, I'm talking about generative artificial intelligence. That is, it generates an output based on your input. Now, has anybody seen this movie right here? Because I think this is an amazing place to start for today. This is where we are. I meet with businesses all over the state, and there are sometimes before a meeting, or probably a week before, where I'll input, please update me. Pretend you're an expert in, let's just say, insurance solutions. Update me on the 5 things that I need to know and how to discuss them with a potential client. Think about the speed and the velocity that adds to your business. Show of hands, how many people are using ChatGPT right now? How many people pay $20 a month for ChatGPT? Ah, the cool kid table. All right. How many people are using Claude? Okay, we have one cool guy over here. Anybody using Gemini? So each one of these are large language models, and each one is slightly different than the other. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through how to use 2 of the main ones that I think give the best results, and that is ChatGPT and something called Claude. They're both competitors in this space, the same way Apple competes directly with Samsung, right? Makes sense? But when I think of AI, this is how I think of it. I think of it as the world's smartest intern, kind of like this handsome fellow right here. It can do anything you want it to do, but you just have to ask it the right questions. You just have to talk to it in the right way, because that's how it knows to do what you want it to do. But it's going to mess up sometimes. Has anyone used AI and then it hallucinates and gives you a response and you're like, oh, this makes no sense whatsoever? Do you know there are lawyers who use AI to create briefs, and then they submitted a brief, and the brief was based off of completely made-up case law? So look, you got to know what you're talking about, and you got to know to see if the answer is correct or not. Now, these are the two that I'm talking about, Chat and Claude. Now, a lot of my talk today is going to be like drinking from a fire hose. Take one thing, put it in your business. I guarantee you it will revolutionize your output. But right now, chat.openai.com, for those not using chat. Claude is just claude.ai. Claude.ai. I like Claude because it gives me a more human output. It gives me better ways to say things. And what's really interesting is once you learn to use both of these, you can take output from ChatGPT, put it into Claude, and say, hey, make this better. And then take Claude, put it into ChatGPT, and say, make this better. Guys, it's like having two of the smartest consultants by your side 24/7. Now, a lot of the work that I do, this was an event I did for a company named Anywhere. A lot of the work I do is workshops on how to deploy this in marketing or customer service or sales. This is one that I did, and I think it's going to be applicable to everybody, about how to put AI into work from a very simple perspective into marketing. Now, you have a breakout session on this as well after this, right? You have another one talking about going deeper on AI and marketing. But what I want to do is I want to go through this formula that you could use AI to brand and market yourself and your business. The formula I came up with here is the RISE formula: radically investing in your branding, innovating your message, seize the offensive, and establishing your leadership. Radically investing in your branding, that means knowing your brand message for your business. Innovating your message is how do you communicate that effectively. Seizing the offensive, how do we create more content and the velocity of creating marketing that's going to resonate with more people. And then establishing your leadership. Now, usually I will put the prompt into ChatGPT and we'll do like a magic trick and you'll be like, wow, look at the output. But here's what I want to do today is I'm going to give you the prompts that are on here. Does everybody have their phones? Okay, I want you to take a picture of these prompts, and I want you to run them on your own device, because your output is going to be so significantly different than mine. Make sense? Okay, so to radically invest in your branding, I want you to come up, like if I came up to, I like your jacket, by the way. I'm Drew. Nice to meet you, Anthony. If I asked you, Anthony, what do you do for a living? What would you say?
I work for ADP. I'm a broker channel manager, so I manage our insurance broker partnerships here in New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. That was a very concise way to say it.
ChatGPT could probably do a better job.
I mean, it could. It could. You could do one of two things. You could hire a branding expert, and they would say, all right, let's walk through. Are there any entrepreneurs in the building that run your own business? Okay. So you could hire someone to come up with a brand statement and tell you how to talk about your brand, or you could just run it through ChatGPT. What I have here is something called a one-liner statement. So the way that this works is, if you asked me, let's go back to you because I like your jacket. Ask me what I do.
What do you do?
Oh. You know how entrepreneurs think they have to go it on their own? I'm a business coach that harnesses generative artificial intelligence so they can unlock creativity, unlock efficiency, and get double the results in half the time. So I gave you a problem, a solution, and a result. Did I use ChatGPT to help me with that? Absolutely. But the thing is, it took you on a story really quickly. You understand the problem, you understand my solution, and you see what you get from it. So yours with ADP, I challenge you to put in everything you do into ChatGPT and use this prompt, and then see what it comes out with. Now, when I put things into ChatGPT, we know that you can do voice to text on your computer, yes? So any computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC, because of the Americans with Disabilities Act, you have to be able to use voice to text. I recommend getting in here and using voice to text, and then just talking, word vomiting, everything you're thinking about, because the output is going to be phenomenal. You see, the more we give these tools, the more it gives us stuff we can use. Now, the next part of this is innovating your message. Now, when I say innovate your message, how many people work in like a really technical field? Show of hands. Okay. My guy in the back here with the awesome blue shirt. What do you do? You run a data science team for Delta Dental. So I would imagine that means you're working with SQL, C++, like that's not programming. Let's just be honest. I'm trying to riff right now. I have no idea what you do. Vipin, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. So what do you do?
I use mathematical models, these AIs, any kind of time series analysis, probabilistic methods.
So you do this stuff. When I was in Business Management 201, stats in undergrad, you were the guys who actually understood what they were talking about. Oh, man. I totally didn't get that class at all. So what I'm saying is if you, let's just imagine for a second, Kevin, that you run your own business. You stepped out of Delta Dental because you can serve them faster, more efficient. You want to innovate your message. When you're talking to a client, if you said those things, I would have no idea what you're talking about. So we have to find a way to say that in a way that resonates with those people that we serve. Yes or yes? Oh, I need interactivity, guys. Yes or yes? Okay. Now, to do that, we want to make it as simple as a newspaper. Newspaper and journalist, my brother's a journalist. He's told that to write things like it's at a 3rd grade level, I believe. So it has to be super easy to understand. So here's what I want you to do. This is a prompt that I would take a picture of to use. Vipin, I believe you have this prompt. I know Vipin, we're in the same B&I chapter. It's going to take all of that technical jargon you have right there, and it's going to make it so simple. Like you could say, make this so I can explain it to a toddler. Do this in the voice of, let's see, Blippi. Do you guys know who Blippi is? Anybody? Kids? Yeah, thank you. By the way, if you don't know who Blippi is a genius. He just does videos that are reviews of companies and businesses, but he does it dressed like an adult toddler. And he does it, and he's got millions of views, syndicated by Netflix, and I think he has a net worth of over like $5 or $6 million. I missed my calling. So you can do that, and it will tell you how to talk to a toddler about what you do. Isn't this interesting? Guys, isn't this fascinating? I really do believe that in the next couple years, you're going to see things like ChatGPT. In 2026, you're going to go, oh yeah, ChatGPT is so old. I've got 4 AI agents that do my business for me. You're going to see the rise of a 1 to 5 person billion-dollar company. That is so close. It's right around the corner. And you have a chance right now. If you are leveraging this, your competitors, odds are, just by the show of hands in this room, odds are they're not. Right? Only 3 of you at the cool kids table over there said that you were using the paid version of ChatGPT. Right now, if I told you I could give you an assistant that knows everything about everything and is fast, and he's $20 a month, raise your hand. Would you pay $20 a month for that assistant? And also, the assistant can give you compliments about everything, which I may have it do sometimes. The next thing I want you to know is that if we make something simple that people can understand, we are able to connect with a consumer. I took this campaign right here. Do you know what Liquid Death is? A company that was formed by, I believe it was rock stars who were on stage who didn't want to drink the Monster Energy, so they would dump the Monster Energy out, fill it with water, and they said, oh, look what we just stumbled upon. And now it's valued at over $35 million. It's pretty crazy, right? But I took this and I said, hey, ChatGPT, here's what I want you to do. I have a client that works in employee benefits. Please help me create a branding campaign for his firm. I want you to model it off of the Liquid Death campaign. Words matter, use an economy of words, and give me 5 ideas that I can use for his marketing or for his branding. And what it came out with is just amazing. Now, I don't have a slide on what it came out with, so you will have to email me for that. That was not intentional. That's because, again, go back to the very beginning. I've got 3 kids, 6-month-old, does not sleep. Okay? The next part to this RISE formula is seizing the offensive. Now, Jets fans, Giants, Eagles? Eagles? Yes, go Birds. Whether you love or hate this guy, he had an amazing offense. My brother was his quarterback for a very, very long time. Okay, whether you love him or hate him, that's a joke. He's not my brother. You all know who I'm talking about, Mr. Tom Brady. We call him Thomas. He talks about a good offense. Now, to have a good offense, we need to increase the velocity that you are putting out content. Now, content can be anything from marketing, marcoms, internal communications, anything that touches one of your shareholders or stakeholders, excuse me. To do that, we want to do it consistently. How many people put out regular marketing and advertising? How many people put out things like video? That's more than I thought. How many have an endpoint where they directly touch the consumers and the people they work with in putting out that video, right? I tell ChatGPT that I need to create more content. I don't know what to talk about, but I know my business. And I want to get around that phase of, what should I say? If I'm a real estate agent, what should I say when I'm putting out videos? If I'm a loan officer, what should I say when I'm putting out content? If I'm an entrepreneur like Vipin, how do I talk about being a business broker in a way that's going to resonate with people? I put that into a prompt, but then I say something like, listen, all of these shows are on TV at the same time every single week. And right now, because there is so much uncertainty in the macroeconomic climate, consumers love regularity, right? This one's on at Mondays, that's on Sunday. I'm not sure when that is, but it's at the same time every week. So I need to have ChatGPT create me the content, tell me what to say, and when I should put it out there on a regular basis. Does that make sense? And here's the prompt that I'm going to use. So take a picture of this one, because when you put it in your computer, Jerry, it's going to be much different than when I do. Isabel, I love this jacket. The goal of telling you the story I have in real estate is to synthesize all of that data and come up with 14 ideas based on the stories I can use to create Instagram Reels. This is getting very in the weeds, by the way, very tactical. Isn't this cool? Because it's always like, oh, wow, I run the Marcom department. I know what we should be saying. I know what aligns with our initiatives for this year, but how can I do things a little bit different? And how can I do it with my assistant? And here's your assistant that can help you do it. Now, if I had my computer open, I would show you. To do this, we would say, I'd be like, here are the 5 stories about when I was in real estate. You know, I once sold a house and I walked in on 2 realtors trying to make a 3rd realtor. Please do me a favor and turn that into a story that I can use. And it will. We're working smarter and harder. But this part here, I think, is the best part and the most relevant part for everybody in this room, especially Mr. ADP. So, sorry, Anthony. ADP is like, that stuck out. So, all right, cool. So Anthony at ADP, Anthony DP, ADP, never mind. We just for the record, it's not named after him. So the thing here is that you want to put out like thought leadership pieces to show that you are the expert, right? To show that you know what you're doing, to show that you're different, that people should lean into your expertise, yeah? To do that, everybody's doing it, by the way. So if you're not using ChatGPT, you stand absolutely no chance at resonating. Just want you to know. But if you use this word right here, contrarian, you know what it means, yeah? Something different. And use that to create content with ChatGPT, to create a, let's just say, a LinkedIn post, it's going to give you a completely different output. Thanks for playing along, Anthony. You see, you can just substitute that industry from insurance to whatever you do for a living. You work in lumber, Felicia? What is it, Hudson Lumber? Yeah. Houston Lumber, yeah. You could substitute this to, give me the trending topics in building materials in this area. And it's going to go research in this area for you. And it's going to give you things to talk about. Zoom out a little bit more. If I took this and I said, I am the leader, are there any like heads of a marketing department or a comms department? Yeah? Say, hey, listen, I run an entire Marcom department, marketing communications, for, let's just go with insurance agency. Give me the 5 things that are trending right now in benefits, broker, insurance, and how I should talk about them. But then here's the cool part. Inside of ChatGPT, it's going to be a text-based conversation, yes? Keep that conversation going. Because now I can get cross-department coordination. I can say, let's bring in internal communications. At the same time, let's bring in someone from HR. And then have the conversation. Okay, from an HR lens, how do I deploy the same output that you gave me when it comes to onboarding new employees? I'm going to give you our brand statement. I'm going to give you our values. How does this match with everything you're telling me to say? You see, like this is having the smartest, Ivy League educated, if you will, person in the room with you. Oh, and by the way, you can tell something like chat, hey, pretend you went to undergrad at Harvard, then you went to Yale for your MBA, you worked at Bain, then you went to McKinsey, then you got tired of that life and decided life would be so much better and easier if you spent the rest of your life at Goldman, right? Yeah, I see you roll your eyes, yeah. My entire in-law family, they're all investment bankers, so yes, I understand. And it will behave like it has those expertises. Guys, I don't know about you, this could be the amount of caffeine that I've had in the last 24 hours, but it's super exciting, right? If this isn't going to change the way you do business now, just imagine if you don't use this in your business today, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the processes inside your company? For those of you that work at ADP, for those that you work for large organizations, this is your chance to lean in, be at the tip of the sphere, and be the person who educates, be the person who finds out how to use this in the business. Now, I've created this for you if you want. This is my small business growth framework. You can scan that QR code. It's yours. What this is it says, here, you need to do this week. Scan this QR code and use this AI. Here, you have an argument with your wife about the dishes. Use this AI. I'll let you do that. And Michelle, I've left some time in here. If you want to do Q&A or you want to have a discussion, either way.
First of all, Drew, thank you. That was really a lot of great information, skinnied down in a way that I think we can walk away with the idea that we can all rise together, right?
Yes.
And have some impact as we leave today. So let's just talk about this focused in particular areas. Let's start with workforce. You know, a lot of people, so as someone who advocates on behalf of business, a lot of times what we hear is, you know, AI is going to replace the workforce, and you have concerns and tremors, you know, through the workforce. What are you seeing and you're hearing about, you know, how AI is transforming the nature of jobs and the skills required in the workplace, and how should we be preparing for that? I have my own ideas about it I might share too, but why don't you tell me yours from the AI perspective?
So I don't think AI is going to replace jobs yet. I think Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, right, he came out with a quote a few days ago talking about the effect that marketing and knowledge work and AI will disrupt complete knowledge work. If you're in marketing or if you're in any type of knowledge field, lawyer, et cetera, there will be an AI in the short term that will be able to do what you do faster, more efficient, without errors. So what does that mean for the workforce? That means, I believe, if you are the SME, the subject matter expert at what you do, learning how to use AI right now will make you, is the word job resistant, like resistant to change?
Yeah,
right?
agile,
You won't lose,
agile,
yeah.
and able to pivot,
Yeah, it'll allow you to remain relevant.
Yep.
And on the other side, when it comes to the job force, and we're looking at it from a hiring perspective, I think there's a two-sided coin there. I think we have the people who are applying to jobs right now can use AI to, let's just say, win that interview to get themselves better prepared from both a, this is my job history, this is how to talk about it, then from a psychological perspective, using the tool that I started out today with, how do I get in the right mind frame, the right mindset? But the employer now has that ability as well. The employer can use these AI tools to look at someone's background, which we already know. These things run in applicant tracking systems to give insights on the applicants. So I think both sides have an advantage. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, a bit. And I think another part of it, too, is, so you hit perfectly on the whole idea of the ability of the employee today and of the future to be agile, right? So there's a lot. You have to be sharp on your skills so we can upskill people. I think every job, if you ask the question, who has a job that touches technology, right? Every hand in the room should go up. I mean, I'm not a technology job, but I have to use technology, and it has to enable me every day to do my job. Some aspects of it I'm good at, some aspects I'm not. Don't ask me to do Excel. I'm telling you, it's a problem, okay? But point being, you have to have a defined skill, and we can upskill for things that are skill-based, right? And then there's competencies, there's those employability skills and soft skills. And I think what I just heard you say is next generation perhaps could maybe use AI to help to enhance their communication skills in a way that maybe we weren't thinking, about before. So that's a nice tip for those who might be recruiting. But recognizing the importance of having that base of good competencies, which is good communication, the ability to work in a team, to be proactive, not to wait to be directed, but to be self-directed, the things that the workforce looks for.
Yeah, and to that, Michelle, I think that Let's just take if I'm interviewing a candidate or if I'm doing an employee review. I think that, well, Google and all the big tech companies are probably already doing this, but if it's done over something like Zoom, there's an AI that'll transcribe that word for word, and then another AI that will look at that, analyze it for sentiment, tell you things that you don't know about this person based on the way that they communicate, which then could further connect you with the applicant, connect you with the employee from an empathetic standpoint. So just think of the velocity of creating a relationship, how fast you can create that empathetic connection, powered by something like ChatGPT, a large language model, if you will.
Sure, absolutely. And then I think another big issue in business, something that's important to me, I'm an attorney by trade, is ethics. So everything we're talking about needs the gut check at the end, right? So I can think about this as this is a research tool for me. I can use this in the first sense to go, like I said before, with spell check. Right? I'd be really crazy if I just hit spell check and then hit send, if I don't like proofread it for context.
I may have done that a couple times, yes.
We all have. But making sure, read 3 times. What do I say, Wayne? 3 times, right? 3 times. But it is important from an ethical perspective that in our society we build a culture of ethics in using AI. Do you want to comment on that a bit?
So when it comes to ethics in AI, I think it always takes a spell check. It always takes looking at the output and making sure that it reflects your values, your company's values, that it is not tone deaf, right? We've seen in the recent news, Google's Gemini, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Google's Gemini started out putting out images that were completely tone deaf, and now Sundar has had to go back and retool that model. So I think it all depends. I don't think AI takes over. It needs a human to make sure, number one, it's ethical, number two, it's correct, that it's saying the right thing, because all it's going to do is go from point A to point B in the fastest way possible.
Absolutely, and I think the one last thing I might add on this is critical thinking too, another skill of a lawyer. You know, we can't just take what we see on its face value. It's a huge challenge and concern. Bob and I talk all the time, our chief communications officer, about our concern at the dearth in objective media that we have out there and how people are getting their news, right? And so you just heard this morning, I think it was, you know, at the federal level, they're talking about what they're doing with TikTok and, you know, et cetera. And the whole idea of what we take as news and not as news. And so the role of AI in that and us being discerning readers and using our own critical thinking. So I think we need to make sure we continue to build those skill sets in our next generation and not just allow technology to be the teacher, right? We have to teach people how to discern as well. So what do you think about, you know, how do you make sure that people who are utilizing this don't just take face value sometimes and kind of challenge themselves in the environment that they're in?
I think that's key. I'm going to look at the lens of me being a father. Like, I want to teach my kids, look, you don't need to know what 4 times 4 equals instantly. You don't need to know your multiplication tables. What you need to know from that perspective, just from like multiplication tables, you need to know that if you can ask a machine, it can do that work for you. However, you need to understand when you read The Great Gatsby or when you read Catcher in the Rye, you need to understand the intrinsic and extrinsic motivations of those characters, why they did something, what is right and wrong. It'd be interesting to see as education evolves over the next couple years, the next decade, we start moving away from rote memorization, we move into here are the real values that you need to have as a person to judge what the output is from these machines in order for our kids and the next generation to be competitive in today's landscape. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, the lens through which we view things is incredibly, incredibly important. So we'll go to questions in the audience. I just want to say one thing, though. I wish you could have been like my 4th grade teacher and I didn't have to memorize 4 times 4. We have a question. Wayne has a mic. He'll come over.
Now I feel important. So 2 questions. You only have to answer one.
Let us know your name and your company, please.
All right. Doug Hutton, MJH Life Sciences. Hi.
Thank you.
Hey, Doug.
Hi. First, your thoughts on Jasper? Because I'm marketing, and I'm hearing that they're really starting to hone in on brand voice. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if all the others will kind of have that opportunity. So your thoughts on that one? Or you can answer, are there any good AIs for customer data mining to improve user experience?
There are AIs. So here's how I think about it. I'm going to look at it through a small business lens, right? If I'm looking to mine customer data for better, for responses from a marketing perspective on how we're going to power the next campaign, It could almost be as simple as, if you just want to use something like chat, you pull out a CSV file of, let's say, all of the past ad campaigns, the CPC, the clicks, et cetera, what worked, what didn't, the messaging, run that into chat, have it analyze it, and have it identify patterns that you can't see. That's a very simple way. On the other thing, Jasper, you guys have ever used Jasper, but Jasper's a great tool. And when people ask me, hey, which tool should I use? I say try it. Jasper has a great way at understanding your brand voice. It also leverages multiple models. Models meaning chat, other LLMs, Mixtral, other things that have been developed. ChatGPT has a way that you can train a GPT model, meaning train a ChatGPT model inside of it on your data. So you can train it on your brand voice and how you make decisions, so it can still give you that same velocity. But try Jasper. Yeah.
There's another question up front. Wayne's on his way with the mic.
Barbara, correct? Right? Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara Kaufman, Martin Tuckman School of Management and NJIT. This is a really naive question, but the difference between the result I would get if I put in a query into ChatGPT and if I just put it into Google or Firefox or any other browser, what's the difference? What happens with ChatGPT versus the browser?
So that's not a naive question at all, because Barbara, I think it's really good you mentioned that, because I believe that is where things are going. Google has a model called Google Gemini. And how many people use Google Chrome right now? Have you ever noticed that when you run a search, it gives you a response? It could say this was generated by artificial intelligence. So it can answer that question for you right there. Now, the concerns are, it's looking for content or websites that are very well SEO tagged, have a higher SEO ranking, content that it may funnel you towards to get that answer. But if I take that same question and run it through ChatGPT, I might get a completely different answer. This is to your point. This is where the human comes in to say this one is right, this one is maybe a little bit off-center. If you want to write this down, there is a website called Chatbot Arena. If you just Google Chatbot Arena, it's really cool. You can choose what type of AI you want, and then you can have both of them compete against the same input you give it. And you'll be like, oh, this one's better. No, this one's better.
I think, is it Zoom or Teams? One of them has an AI. Has anyone used
Zoom
that?
does.
I see it, but yeah,
Yep.
and I haven't. Every time I'm on a Zoom, I see the AI down. I'm like, I want to press that button and see what happens, and I haven't done it. Maybe I should just be courageous and press the button.
Do it. I mean, Teams has Copilot, which is built off of OpenAI's ChatGPT, if you will. Other questions?
Website again?
For which one?
Google.
Oh, Chatbot Arena. Like, no, Chatbot Ballerina is different. Chatbot Arena. Like a chat, C-H-A-T, B-O-T, and then arena, like where Gerard Butler fought in, what's that movie? Gladiator?
Or like our own Anthony Arena, A-R-E-N-A.
That's even easier.
Got another question coming up.
Good morning. Elizabeth Williams, Riley Dash Consulting.
Good morning.
Developing assets for successful habits. What I wanted to know is how does the artificial intelligence take into consideration culturally responsive kinds of marketing and things of that nature?
That is the million-dollar question. I mean, Sundar at Google, I'm not sure if you guys have all followed this. This is in the news. But Sundar, they put in one prompt and it gave out images that were completely culturally inappropriate and tone deaf. So it's these models have to be trained on what is culturally appropriate. To that point, Doug, is it, with the jacket? Yeah, to Doug's question, you can train a ChatGPT, a GPT, if you will, give it your information, tell it what you believe, and tell it, this is appropriate for my audience, this is culturally appropriate for my audience, this is the tone that I want with my audience. And you can say these words, please do not give me an output that is not in line with everything I just gave you. That's the only solution right now, but I think this evolves over time. As we see over the next decade, we're going to see governments get involved, create rules and regulations around this technology that will, I don't want to say limit, but will make sure that this aligns to, I'm not trying to be political, a right or a left agenda, whatever is in power. Sorry, I didn't mean to get political.
No, you're absolutely. One more question. Oh, two more questions. We actually have time. We're waiting. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's
Two more questions.
Susanna Grastian with
Hi,
Mercer
Suzanne.
Consulting. Hi. So my question is, and I don't think you touched on it, but it's important as well to remember you can't just put those Excel sheets up into ChatGPT if it's very sensitive data, right? So, getting enterprise models for your organization, if you can afford it. What is your take on that?
So there's a lot, and I completely agree, right? If you are working inside of something that is very highly classified, or just your company secrets, yes, that model will train on them. That's not to say that it's going to then someone else in California is going to put in a question about your company and it's going to give all the trade secrets. I can't say that with 100% certainty. This is all brand new. But if you look at the open source models, so open source means that it's capable of giving you an output, but it's not connected to the internet. Right? If you look at things like Llama, like I have a Llama. There's Mixtral, which is another one. If you just Google open source generative artificial intelligence, you'll find models that are running on your local system, so your data is there. It's not shared across the internet. Does that answer your question? Yeah, no, okay. We actually have our own. Okay. Yep. Of course. And to your point, because what you just said is your employees need to know that the data that you give ChatGPT is going to be part of its training module. And I think that is a very good point. You need to know that what you tell it, it trains on. So your employees, whether they say they are or not, they're using ChatGPT on their own devices. You need to get in front of this so that you are not having data leak everywhere. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, definitely a risk we should be conscious of.
I have one more question here, and we have a Zoom question, so let's go here first.
I believe the EU had just put together some really stringent regulations on consumer protectiveness. Have we, as a country, what do you foresee as some of the regulations to come through to protect consumers and businesses and therefore?
That's another $1 million question. I think we're going into an election year. The amount of synthetic data and fake ads that we're going to see and fake messaging, we already saw it, right? I believe the president called voters using it wasn't him. It was all using AI. I think that as we get closer, Facebook and the major players in this space, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, all of the major players are going to start to put in safeguards around the content that goes out there. I know Meta has a tag that if it's on Facebook or Instagram, it says this was possibly generated by generative artificial intelligence. But I think as we go forward, this is only going to have a snowball effect. They're going to keep regulating this because consumers don't know what to trust right now. I could literally be a hologram and not be me. I could be AI. I get that question a lot. Right?
Yeah, I think the key there, we were speaking about this the other day from a policy perspective, and it's got to be more at the federal level. The last thing we want is, New Jersey diving into some space that really is something that is bigger than just us as a state, and having our own kind of rules and regulations here, and then again, going to what might be that competitiveness or lack thereof environment for doing business here based upon that. We have a Zoom question coming up. Danielle, you want to bring it on?
Hi. So, why would you use a text-based model like ChatGPT to create images as opposed to the favored AI image generator, Midjourney? That does not make sense to me.
Okay, so Midjourney is something that creates images. ChatGPT does it too. They're just different large language models. They use different forms of stable diffusion to get you the image that you need. I would say do both. I'm looking around like one of you asked a question. I would say do both and see which one you like more. These systems don't know how to spell very well, so you have to tell it to spell correctly, and it's going to give you something completely different. Like just yesterday, I created a coloring book for my kids, Hunter and Everly, and it was dinosaurs, flying dogs, and I think some type of giraffe, and it made me like 5 images, and then I said, here, color this. Yes, you're busy. That means I can sit here and do nothing for 5 minutes. Any other questions? No? Nope.
Where? I'm sorry, was there one? Oh. Sorry, one more right here. Inquisitive minds want to know.
Thanks. Hi, Anthony Baratieri, editor-in-chief at New Jersey Business Magazine. I'm a reporter, editor. When I first heard about AI and content stories being generated, I thought, well, it's not good for people in my industry, for reporters. So then I thought, well, the leg up that we have as reporters is that we create the first, I guess, I don't know, generation of the content. You know, I interview you for the first time. You're giving me original content, because with AI, I might be wrong, but I think it scans the internet, right? Generates a story, but it's not original content, right?
It makes its own inferences, and it pulls out a story that it wants to tell, for lack of better words. Just
Right.
really simplifying that.
Right. But if I'm interviewing you, I'm getting your thoughts firsthand. It's the first time out there, right? So I imagine that's the leg up that reporters have in generating original content. But then, listening to what you were saying today, well, what if the interviewee, in preparing for the interview, goes out and uses AI to, you know, prepare for this? So
It's very possible.
it's a no-win situation, sort of. So I don't know what your take is on
No,
it.
you know, I think you brought up a really good point, that AI will help you make work faster and will increase the velocity at which you are able to produce an article or produce a post, for lack of better words. My brother, being a reporter, I know that he carries a dictaphone, is that the right word? Like a recorder, voice recorder, and he records everything. And what I'm encouraging him to do, I don't know if the station he works for says he can, is to take that, transcribe it, put it into chat, write a draft of the article. Now, he edits that article, but I've just taken away what could be 2 hours of work of him sitting there. Now, the critical thinking is important, but he can exercise that critical thinking after the hard part in the lift has been done. So just think of the velocity now if we start getting into this and training our young to be able to work like this. You still have to critical think, but now you can get a new story out in 20 to 30 minutes, for lack of better words. Yeah? Make sense? Okay.
It's kind of like a research tool without the citations.
Yes. Yes.
It's the lawyer in me, I can't
That was
help it.
very lawyer of you to say.
Can I say? All right, let's have a big round of applause for Drew.
Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.